It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Portland State's head women's basketball coach, Coach Chelsey Gregg. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college women's basketball?
Yeah, I think, it started as I was just always an athlete, always around sports, loved all the sports, grew up playing all the sports, specifically soccer and basketball, and had been a leader on those teams, had opportunity to play at the college level, and thought, maybe I'd go into the medical field. But as I got deeper and deeper into school and classes, I just really fell in love with the athletics portion and the teamwork. And so had opportunity to stay in coaching after I played, and I've been here ever since. So now going into year 16.
Of course, what was your experience like going to college at Southern Oregon and playing collegiate basketball?
Yeah, I loved it. I actually had some different recruiting in high school, had opportunities to go play soccer or basketball. My first year I was actually at New Mexico Highlands, Division II in the RMAC, and we had a lot of success there. But then the coach went to Southern Oregon, and so I followed. So finished my 3 years there, played soccer as well my 5th year, and loved it. Ashland's a great town. Just a great experience at the NAI level, got to stay competitive and make an impact and turn around a program. So I love my experience there for sure.
Of course, what was that experience like as a player getting to put on that uniform for Southern Oregon?
Yeah, I think that anytime you get to be a part of something bigger than just yourself, I think athletics provides those opportunities to be part of a team, and just all the lessons that you learn. I mean, spoken like a coach, right? I've stayed in it now for 16 years post college, but the reality is the lessons that you learn and the resiliency that you develop, that camaraderie, all the friendships that you develop along the way. There's nothing like it. And then I had I think a unique experience to be able to help turn around a program as a point guard for SOU, and then end up being player of the year with coach of the year, and winning our conference title, and then going into the national tournament. And so unfortunately, we didn't have the success there as we had hoped that first year, but really opened the doors for the teams to come. And it's something that I just really cherish.
Of course, what was that transition like getting to become a coach at your alma mater of Southern Oregon?
It was a great opportunity. I was an assistant coach there my first year out as I was finishing school and playing soccer, and then I had opportunity to come back for 2 years before coming up to Portland State. Have a lot of pride in those Raiders and that area, and so it was neat to be able to give back to the program that gave so much to me.
Of course, how was that experience like getting to work at your alma mater and getting to coach those future players?
Yeah, I think, like I said, it was an honor. It was awesome to be able to, I understood what they were going through. Being able to relate to those student athletes, I think, is a big deal. Coming back, it was great because I had a little bit of separation. Sometimes it can be hard, one year your teammates and the next year you're in that coaching role. So I think you have to be careful in that space, just to be mindful and aware of what that could feel like for current players that were just teammates, and now a few months later, now it's a coach and player dynamic. But it was a great start. I really enjoyed my time there, and gave me opportunity to learn a lot. At those NAI levels, you're wearing multiple hats, and so it gave me an opportunity as an assistant to have my hand in a lot of different areas and learn.
Of course, as an assistant coach, what was that like going to Great Falls and becoming their assistant coach?
It was a great opportunity. When I first got there, I was a GA, and I was going, so we practiced in the mornings, and then I was working full time as a special ed para in an elementary classroom there. And then in the evenings, I was working on my master's in secondary ed. So it was a full load for sure. And then those last 3 years that I was at Great Falls, I had the opportunity, once finishing my master's, to be a full-time assistant. Again, I had worked under those last 3 years a head coach that had a lot of experience in high school settings, but not in the collegiate setting. And so we were kind of both learning the ropes, and again had a opportunity to have my hand in a lot of different areas, from scheduling to budget, travel, just so many different areas, coaching as well, on court coaching. And so it really laid the foundation for just the opportunities that came in the future.
Of course, after Great Falls, what was that experience like returning back to your alma mater before taking over as a head coach?
Yeah, I was at SOU only as an assistant capacity. I wasn't a head coach until coming up here at Portland State, 3 years ago. But returned to SOU, it was familiar. It was great to be back in the area. Loved Ashland, had a great experience there. And then returning to get to work with the head coach that I had played under was a fun experience for sure.
Of course, coming to Portland State, what was that experience like getting to become a head coach for the first time?
Yeah, I think that's something I'd always thought about doing. And then the opportunity presented itself. The coach that I had played for had moved on to another great opportunity at McNeese State. And so I'd applied and got the job here. And so now going into year 3 and really thankful for the opportunity to be here at Portland State, and kind of pushed the hand a little bit. I wasn't sure yet that was the direction that I wanted to head in quite yet. And once I had the opportunity, started to prep, it's been an exciting opportunity, especially being a female head coach. I don't take that lightly.
Of course, what was that feeling like getting to lead the Portland State and getting to run it as your own program?
Yeah, I think that you just everybody just borrows things, right? It's not reinventing the wheel. It's just learning from mentors that I've had throughout the years and getting the opportunity to, maybe put my twist on things. Some wrinkles. I had a really great playing experience. And so drawing from that and doing a lot of things that I did as a player, but then, always learning and growing and adapting to the current game and the players and personnel that you have, making those adjustments. But really exciting time, I think, to be a part of women's basketball.
Of course, for you as a coach, what was that feeling like the first time you got to step onto the court as a head coach and lead the program?
Yeah, really exciting. I mean, it was again just such a different role than I had in the past. Even as an associate head coach, I had my hand in a lot of things, but it was a lot of behind the scenes, not a lot of on-court coaching per se. That just wasn't how our program was ran here. And so that was an adjustment of trying to find that coaching voice, and it's all on you, and having to fill out a staff. But in terms of the game experience and the first time, put on those heels and coach that game, it was a great experience. Yeah, definitely exhilarating, lots of excitement around it. So yeah, all those firsts, the first time anything happens, you have some nerves about it, but it was a great experience.
Of course, how was that like getting to come up the ranks in Portland versus coming from Southern Oregon to then becoming the head coach?
Yeah, I think that along the way, especially with the NAIA experience, it allows you to understand a lot of different areas. I know that a lot of people in the division world have great opportunities right off the gate to maybe be a GA or director of ops or even assistant coach, and that's great. And good for them. I think that wasn't an opportunity that I was afforded. And so, working for several years to be able to even get to be an assistant at this level and then work my way up to the head coach, it just teaches you a lot. You learn kind of the behind the scenes of different universities, how things work. Like I said, it affords an opportunity to do the scheduling, you're sweeping the floors, you're doing it all. And so having a wide range of skill sets to draw off of, I think it allowed me to develop those early versus kind of being thrown into the fire right away.
Of course, what was that experience like being the associate head coach and learning about the program before taking over the program?
Yeah, it was an honor to be able to get that elevated position and that title. Just I had felt like I put a lot of work in, was giving a lot back to the program, but it was great to be recognized for that was great. But those are just titles. It's not really why I do it. That's not why I'm in coaching. Just to make a difference. And so the daily didn't change. There's a little bit maybe more responsibility here and there, workload, but the reality is I got in to be a mentor, a role model, and change lives, empower these young women to achieve their dreams. And so that was something that I was still able to do as assistant, and then continue to do as associate head coach, and now moving into the head coaching role.
Of course, while head coach, what have been some of your accomplishments as a head coach?
Yeah, I think that within our program, we were focusing a lot on our culture. And so really proud of the culture that we're building here and the kind of student athletes and the type of people that we have in our program. That's first and foremost. And then the resiliency that our team showed and our staff showed through the tough first year. And then seeing this year, the success that we were able to have, not satisfied where we're at just yet, but the reality of being, plus 10 wins overall and plus 8 in Big Sky Conference, which was good enough to tie second for best all time. It was really special to be able to see the development of our players and how they grew and they learned and continue to compete, and our ability to finish games this year was fun to see.
As a head coach, what has it been like obviously building the coaching staff and the team around you?
One more time, I didn't quite hear the question.
As a head coach, what has it been like obviously getting to build the coaching staff and the team around you?
Yeah, I think that I've always been that kind of player in person and leader, hopefully, that it's not about me. I want to be that selfless leader. Obviously, as a head coach, there's times that you need to step up and you need to be, give that vision and that direction, obviously. But I hope that our players feel like that they have a piece of this program. It's been great to build a staff and see going into year 3, but year 2 with this current staff, we just have people that just have found their niche, right? Whether it's within player development, whether it's in the behind the scenes stuff, whether it's in the relationship piece. I'm just real fortunate to be able to have really good people, which I think is what you need to be successful at this level.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've built for the program?
Based off of our 4 R's, with being relational, how we show up for each other, resilient, when things are hard, because they're going to be, right? Life happens. Things are hard within basketball. How do we show up for each other and push through and lean in versus, opting out and kind of, removing ourselves from those hard times? How can we be reliable is what we talk about a lot, not being flaky, where coaches and teammates can depend on you, and then helping our athletes be ready, trusting their preparation for games, but also really for life. How do we help prepare them for their next 40 years plus and not just the 4 years that we may have them here?
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you play each week?
Conference play starts for us end of December. We play Thursdays, Saturdays, sometimes Mondays, depending on the schedule. Our travel partner is Sacramento State. We have Idaho State, Montana State, Weber State, Northern Arizona, Weber State. Who am I forgetting? I think that is it. So we have 10 teams in our league.
Of course, what is that home game atmosphere like at Portland State?
We just finished year 5 in our new pavilion. So we're really blessed and fortunate to have an outstanding facilities. And so it's a really fun place to play. Our lower bowl, it's not too large. It seats about 3,300, which is a nice upgrade from where we were at in the practice gym, which used to be our gym of 1,500. And so, it's just a really great place to play. I feel like it gives a great atmosphere for the players, fan experience. And so we're real fortunate to play here at the Viking Pavilion.
Of course, what is that like having teams like Iowa State come to you versus going to Iowa State to play away?
Yeah, we haven't had too big of names. We had Tennessee come in 2018, and that was really awesome to be able to have them come in. At that time, they had a coaching change and Avina Westbrook had transferred out. So I think the idea of getting them here was to have her play in front of a home crowd. But the reality is it's a fun atmosphere to play in and be able to compete at that level.
Of course, what does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to play collegiate basketball?
I always say that there's a spot for everyone. It might not be here at Portland State or at the Division I level, but if you want to play college basketball and continue your career post high school, there's definitely opportunities. You're going to have to advocate for yourself. I think also with us, it's years out, right? Like some people wait till their senior year or they're trying to find placement, and that's kind of not how that works here at our level, right? We're 2-3 classes ahead, trying to get to recognize talent and build those relationships early. And so I think always sending us film and emails and talking back and forth on social is awesome. And if you feel like you're not getting seen, definitely making sure that you're sending out those emails to schools that you're interested in.
As a head coach, what do you look at in those prospective student athletes when out on the road recruiting?
Yeah, I mean, there's a handful of things, but I think people say it a lot. There's got to be a skill set there, right? And there's athleticism and length. We recruit all different kinds of athletes, really. If you look at our roster, we're a very diverse team. Regionally, athletically, positionally, we got a lot of different skill sets, and I love that about our team. I feel like that's unique. But the reality is trying to find people that are going to fit our culture, right? So I'm watching on the bench. I'm watching how you interact. Maybe if you have a bad play or a bad game, what's your response going to be to that? We look at that a lot. We really are fond of players that have a high motor, that can play at an intensity for a long time, and just really good teammates, right? You have great energy about you. We got to be around you at least for 10 months plus, and we got to enjoy our time as well. So are you coachable? Are we going to want to be around you for all that time? It goes both ways. And so trying to make sure that those characteristics and those character traits are going to fit within our culture. And then obviously evaluating talent is going to be a big piece of that as well.
Of course, what does that official visit look like at Portland State?
Yeah, I think that it's different for everybody. Obviously, NCAA determines the timeline and when we can bring players in, but get to show campus, our facilities, and really just spend time with our players. I think that's the biggest piece of it, is trying to find the right fit, because that's who they're going to be around the most. And so really just taking that time, whether we're going bowling or different team activities, and then really, just asking the right questions and going through the roster and being pretty transparent in the process so they understand, what it would look like to be an athlete here at Portland State.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen get to put on that Portland State green jersey for the first time?
It's exciting. I think that, they've worked really hard for that. And we talk about it in the recruiting process. So it's like, even though that's been the dream to play at a high level and get a scholarship, the reality is now the work starts, right? It's not an end goal, but it's just the beginning of, hey, you achieved your dream to play college basketball, but now the work begins, right? It's not time to settle in and be excited about the end game, but really about what they want that experience to look like here for the next 4 years.
Of course, as a coach, what is it like seeing those players stay 4 years and getting to represent the green Portland State?
Yeah, I think that's it's few and far between these days, and there's nothing against the portal. We've been able to utilize it to get better as well, but I think it's pretty neat, those players that choose to stay and work it out and be able to build camaraderie and that loyalty through the 4 years. And so we just had 3 seniors that graduated. They were with me from the start when I was an assistant and finished their 4 years here. It's pretty special to see them graduate and work towards that goal.
Of course, as a head coach, what is it like seeing those players go on and achieve great things, whether it's in the corporate world or playing professional basketball?
And I think that's why you get into it, right? It's feel, especially for us here at Portland State, given that whole student athlete experience and helping them, onto that next step in life, whatever that looks like. Like you said, if it's playing professionally, whether it's a career oriented or whether it's family, just helping them be prepared for whatever that next step is.
What is that like, obviously, seeing them get into college coaching and getting into coaching after their playing career?
I think we've had a handful of players come through my 16 years that have wanted to do that, and it's been pretty neat. I think you can see that from the start, pretty high IQ players that really have just wanted to be involved, team leaders typically. But it's neat to see them carry that on, and I think also get a realization of what they see is the coach player relationship, but really once they get into it, like how much goes into coaching and the things that we're thinking about and strategy, scouts, recruiting. I don't know that they fully understand, which they don't need to as a player here, but then once they get on the coaching side of things, their eyes are open to, oh man, there's a lot that goes on. So
Of course, what are some of your future plans for Portland State moving forward?
yeah, I think continue to recruit high level student athletes. Getting the best available is really going to be a key for us, and then just continue to grow our culture. I think the bet is that when we pour so much into our players, that you're going to get that back, and that they understand that they're valued as more than just an athlete, but what they can bring to the table as a person. And I think when you do that, hopefully we create those relationships that they give that back, right? They're going to play hard. They're going to want to be here. They're going to want to learn and compete. And so, obviously the goal is to win the conference, get back to the NCAA tournament like we did in 2019. But it really starts with the people that we have. And that includes our staff, a great staff around me, and great players. Because really, at the end of the day, we could be really great at X's and O's or motivation, whatever that looks like, recruiting. But the reality is it's the players that get it done. So got to have good players to have a good program.
What advice would you give those freshmen entering their first year of collegiate women's basketball?
Come in shape. We can teach the rest. I think it's sometimes hard to understand what level of play and how fast it's going to be. And I think when you don't come in shape or the best shape, your mind goes to that spot instead of being able to focus or execute and learn. And so I think the biggest thing is just to be in shape and then make sure you're taking care of your body. When you're young, you think that you don't need to, and then pretty quickly you realize that that's going to be a key to the longevity and being able to compete at a high level.
Of course, what advice would you have those college basketball players looking to go play professionally, whether it's Athletes Unlimited or the WNBA?
Yeah, continue to advocate for yourself. Find agents that really believe in you. Get connected. The tryouts, we've had several people have those opportunities, but then not have the right fit with their placement. And so really decide what you want out of it. Do you want to play basketball and continue to compete at a high level, or are you just interested in playing basketball and traveling? What does that really look like for you? Because I think that there's sometimes that there's opportunities, but really knowing your why is important in those situations.
What advice would you give those players looking to get into college coaching after their playing career?
Definitely start networking. It's not necessarily, during the season, but I think in the off season, there's opportunities to join different, like if it's the WBCA, there's different, I know the Big Sky does a really nice job with their education piece and doing different cohorts to support student athletes who are either interested in coaching or in administration. And so talk to your coaches early about those interests if you have those, and get involved. I think sooner the better.
What advice would you give those future assistant coaches looking to make that jump from being assistant to a head coach?
I think I don't know if anybody ever feels super ready. Maybe there are individuals who feel like that, but I think making sure you write down, understanding what you would want your philosophy to be, taking those notes and say, hey, this is something that I really like that we've done, that I'm learning. Here's some things that maybe I would like to do differently. And so if and when you get that opportunity, you're really ready to establish that versus having to, oh man, here's an opportunity. Now I have to develop a philosophy. I have to develop, X, Y, and Z. Hopefully you already had a good start on that when those opportunities come.
What advice would you give those future head coaches looking to build their own program and build their own legacy?
Gosh, I am still in the very beginning, so I don't have too much to say. I think that building a sense of community, I've learned now going to year 3, I've been really thankful for some coaches that have surrounded me and been able to mentor and be in a group together. But I think find those head coaches that are in similar situations, and then those that have been in it for a while, that you can pick their brain and they just understand it. Because as much as you think as an assistant, you really don't know what it feels like to be in the head coaching chair. And so I think just really finding that community around you and finding that support is important.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Portland State Women's Basketball Program?
Yeah, well, check us out at govikes.com. That's going to be where our schedule's at. On Instagram, it's PSU Vikes WBB, and that's going to be on Twitter and Instagram. Coach Chelsey G on Instagram as well. And just a fun follow. Come find us. You'll see that we're doing a lot of things on the floor, but also off. It's a big deal for us to be able to give us a full student athlete experience. So this afternoon, we're going to go, our strength coach is going to teach us how to dry cast fly fish out on the field. And we've done some, how to change a tire, to do some fun things with charcuterie boards. Today we went on a hike. I think it's got to be more about basketball. So check those things out. We post about those on social, and I think it's a fun follow.
Thank you again, Chelsey Gregg, for your interview, and best luck in your future as the head women's basketball coach for Portland State.
Thanks, Brandon.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon. You can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Chelsey Gregg, for your interview, and best luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.